Alright, here we go for another live stream of Pure Farming 2018. Now, I just got into the game, and I'm noticing something that worries me a little bit. There appears to be no My First Farm anymore. It's gone. So, let's see. Yeah, and that is something completely different. So, I don't know if an update got rid of my save game on My First Farm or what the deal was there. But I guess we'll just start over. Normally, I would say we're starting over, I'm going to catch us back up to where we were. You guys don't have to watch all this. However, since the last live stream I did, there has been a pretty major update where the developers have actually fixed a number of things and added some features that people were asking for. So I know we're going to have to start over and kind of redo things. That's okay though, because we're going to get to see how things respond differently now with the new updates in place. So once this gets loaded up, we will hop into the game. Anytime now. There we go. Okay. Things seem pretty smooth. Alright. We've received a new email. Yay! Let's go through all our emails again. Bank loan, we've already read it. Movement, beginnings, we've already read it. So I am not going to read all these emails because we've done all this before. And nothing new as of yet, except one thing here. If you look up in the upper right hand corner, you'll see it says X24 all the way up to X600, and you default to X24. They added an actual real-time option. So now the 1X is actually 1X. It's real-time. So that's really cool. I know there are a lot of complaints about that. People wanted an actual real-time option, and now they've added it for us. The nice thing about this first patch that I really took away from it was the developers are willing to listen. They admit that their game is not necessarily perfect. They know there's some issues with it, and they're willing to take that feedback and make a better game. Because, a lot of the things they addressed in the first patch were things that people were complaining about. So another one I will show you guys when we get to a vehicle. But we're going to run through this. We got to run over to the potato storage real quick, and then we have to run back and get in a vehicle. There we go. Back to the vehicle shed. Actually, because we've gone through this tutorial already, I know that we can teleport back to the vehicle shed. If we don't choose a vehicle, but we actually choose the shed. There we go. Teleport. Boom. We are there. Okay. I'll go ahead and bring it up now. Go to the options menu. It's not in this one. Controls. Advanced, I believe it is. Yes. Steering sensitivity for the keyboard. This was a big one. I had complained several times about the sensitivity of the driving with the mouse and keyboard. Well, this is an adjustment that you can make now. By default, it's at, I think, 1. I've turned it down to 0.5. And the driving is much, much better now. Go to the shed. Oops. I have to go to this little circle. There we go. Now get in the tractor. I've actually tried this update out a little bit because I wanted to see if things really were improved or not. And let me tell you, from the driving standpoint, it is way better. And the real-time option is a huge addition. I'm very happy that they added that. There we go. Okay, we have to get into the combine harvester, but first I am going to back this back into the shed. Now you notice there, I hit reverse and the thing didn't rocket off the line. It was just kind of a nice smooth start. I like that. Very much like that. It's a vast improvement over what we had before. Alright. combine. We have to go hook up the header. As we kind of redo some of these things too, we can see if anything really changed. One other thing that changed, now that we're in a vehicle, in cab mode, there's no tablet, like suction cup to the front window anymore. Apparently, I don't know if people had complained about that or what the deal was. I'm assuming people did because it's now gone. Another thing, this used to be about as far out as you could zoom. Now, if I use my zoom function, I can zoom quite a bit further out. So, again, just more evidence that they are listening, they're taking that feedback, and they're working on making the game better. And it sounds like to me, the volume might just be a little on the high side. It's mainly the music. So I am going to actually, I'm going to decrease. I'm just going to completely get rid of the music, because I don't want that to be a problem anyway. So that's gone. There we go. Radio volume down. Everything else should be good. And I didn't hit apply, so it didn't make any of those changes. Nice job. There we go. Zeroed out. Apply those. Thank you. Okay. Now, much better. Alright. So we'll harvest this field again. We've done it once, right? It won't hurt us to do it again. I thought, there we go. I'm trying to get cruise control on. Oh, because I'm hitting the wrong button. That's why. Not sure why I thought that button was the one that would do it, but it was not. That was the wrong button for sure. In-cab view is not bad either. Definitely not bad. Oh, one other thing they added, which I can't show you now because I don't think you can adjust it while you are in the game. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. They adjusted the fuel consumption rate. That was another big complaint that I saw come up on the forums. And so that was adjusted. You can now, I'm not really sure, as it's listed in the options menu, and you have to do this from the options menu, the main menu. You can't do it once in game, but there's like a 1/1 option, and I think a 1/2, 1/4, and 1/8. I was taking that to mean like 1/1 is like what it was in the game originally, and then like 1/2, 1/4, and 1/8 of that. I don't really know that, so don't take my word on that. And I haven't played with this new update nearly long enough to make any conclusion as to whether or not that's actually true. As long as this didn't change the settings that I was kind of testing things out on a little bit, then it should be set on the 1-8, which means we shouldn't really go through very much fuel, if I'm correct. However, I have been wrong many, many times before, so excellent. We already have 4,500 pounds. I think what we'll do, since I have already gone through these, is we won't actually harvest the entire field right now. Mainly because I have gone through all of these, and I know you only have to fill up the combine, I think, basically once to meet the goals for this mission. We'll come back and harvest at some other point. I guess that'll also give us a chance to test whether or not crop destruction is a thing in this game. We let these crops sit here for a while. The good news is you should be able to make the farm profitable much easier now. The way they had the time set up, it seemed like it would have been very hard to make a profitable farm because the days just you didn't feel like you could get enough done in a day. It's like basically working one field took up your entire day, and you know it's hard to make a profitable farm if you're only working one 2-acre field. Almost there. We're almost full. We're gonna get full in the middle of this pass probably. And we're getting close. Sorry about that. Had to mute myself. So, finished up the harvest. Well, not really finished up. We got the harvest to the point where we need to for this mission, which is as far as we're going to go for right now. Get the trailer hooked up and go unload this guy. Should have put the pipe out while we were there, shouldn't we? That would have been a good idea. Would have been a good idea. There we go. And get out. Go get in the combine. Pipe out. You have to hit Z and move the mouse to put the pipe out, which is a little different. Alright. And let's go ahead and put the pipe back down. There we go. Alright. To the tractor. To the tractor. Alright, we gotta take this down to somewhere. Transport crops to the granary. Off we go. This is not a quick tractor. Not whatsoever. And also, are we going the wrong way? We have done this mission before, and it still just went right by where we needed to go. Because I was skipping a couple steps. I'm ready to take it to the sell point and sell it, but first we have to put it in here. Stop. There we go. Put it in here. Then we have to go load the trailer up from the silos. Which does make sense given that this is kind of a tutorial. It's a little bit of a story-based part of the game, but also a tutorial to familiarize you with how the game works. So, you know, doing that is obviously a little unnecessary, but they want to make sure you know how to play the game, so I can get on with that. it's very similar to Farming Simulator in this case. However, it could have been completely different. And in that case, we probably wouldn't have known what we were doing. Off to where are we going? At the Purchase Center. This place, if I remember correctly, is quite a ways away. It does take a little while to get there, especially in a tractor that tops out around, well, when you're not going downhill, tops out around 17 or so miles per hour. We had actually made a little progress in this game, so I'm a little disappointed that we have to start from scratch. But it will be a good opportunity for us to revisit some of these tutorial missions and see if anything has changed significantly. We can already tell that the game, you know, the driving portion of it, the sensitivity that they added is much better. Driving with a keyboard and a mouse is much, much, much better now. Unfortunately, I still do not seem to have any control with the with my steering wheel and pedal setup. So, and I looked through the options menu a number of times, and there's no real way to change key bindings. So there's no way to like assign a certain action to, you know, the pedals or whatever. So as of right now, there doesn't really seem to be a way to even kind of work around it. And you know, the only controller option that you have is, looks like Xbox or PS4 type controller that you can use. And here we are to sell. We don't have very much to sell, and that's okay because you don't really make much from it anyway. Oh, we're supposed to sell 13,669 pounds. So that is unfortunate. See, last time we did apparently what we were actually supposed to do, which is complete harvesting the field. They don't tell you that, although they do say sell 13,669 pounds. So they probably figure that most people are smart enough to then realize that there's only 7,000 pounds in the trailer and they should go back and complete the harvest. You would assume that people are going to figure that out. In my case, I was not paying attention, so I did not figure that out. So we'll go back and harvest the rest of the field and do this all over again. And we'll take the shortcuts so it doesn't take quite as long this time. What else? They did make some significant changes. I'm not sure we've really come across any of the other ones yet. I know I would love to see my steering wheel and pedals work, but that is, they've said they're working on adding support for more steering wheels and pedals. So I'm going to trust them on that one and say that down the road at some point it will be added. What else? They also have said that the ability to change key bindings is something that is going to come in a future update. So that will be good to see as well. And I am going to change something. Whoops. That's not what I wanted to do. I think I've done that before. I don't know why, but I seem to think that T is the cruise control button when it's clearly not. Put the cruise control on, and I'm going to jump out real quick and change the name of the stream, because currently right now it's showing as something that's not correct. There we go. Should be correct now. Get us over here. Come on. Over here we've got space to build chicken coops and rabbit hutches, so that I am assuming is something we will get into at a later point in the game, which will be fun. Hopefully it's not going to make us sell all 13,000 pounds of crops at the center at one point, because if it does, we are out of luck. And go. Alright. Let's finish up this harvest. Yeah, that would be unfortunate if we can't even complete the mission because we sold 7,000 pounds already. Find out. It's something that, you know, I could see it. Hopefully they have already, you know, had the foresight to see that as a possibility and took care of it. But it's something I could see easily, you know, slipping past the developers or some of the testing, because most people would look at that and correctly assume that you need to harvest the rest of the field and then take stuff down to sell, instead of doing what I did. So it could be an opportunity to test out whether or not the mission system updates with partial, you know, it shows it's partially done or what. The bar at the top does show that we're like halfway done, and since our job right now is to sell 13,000 pounds, I'm going to assume that it's giving us credit for the 7,000 we already dropped off. But we won't know until we go sell the rest of it. I think the first time I did this, I also did a much better job of not leaving one tiny little strip to come back for. Well, oh well. There's no GPS in this game. At least not yet. The one thing I always wonder about, because, you know, Pure Farming's come out and it's said that there's going to be modding support for it. Cattle and Crops is in the early access phase, and they've said there's going to be modding support for that. I always wonder, you know, how is the modding community going to develop? Is it going to be a good modding community for these games or not? And if not, can the game make it on its own, or are mods going to be crucial to its success? The modding community is so large and, you know, well developed for Farming Simulator because the game's been around for a decade now and has always had mods as part of its DNA. So you've had modders out there. I mean, some of these mods have been carried over since, I don't even know. Some of them I think have been carried since Farming Simulator 2011, and they just keep updating it so that it works with the, you know, better graphics and new functions that have been added and things like that. So there's just an extensive amount of modding support for Farming Simulator, and that is one of the things that makes Farming Simulator a successful game. Honestly, if it wasn't for the modding, Farming Simulator would not be nearly as successful as it is. It's a good game, and I think the two most recent versions of it have been better out of the box. That probably started with 2013, because that was the first one that was released for consoles. Although, if I remember correctly, 2013 came out not for consoles, but when they brought in the Platinum Edition, then it became available for consoles. Something like that. Anyway, 15 and 17 were from the beginning developed with consoles in mind, And so they added a lot of base game machinery and a lot of functions and things that you could do, knowing that, especially for 15, there would be no modding support for the consoles whatsoever. Then with 17, mods are available for the consoles, but only certain mods are available. So if the mods use scripting and things like that, you can't use them on the console. So they've done a better job in the more recent versions of developing a more full base game, but the mods are still, in my opinion, what makes that game so playable. And playable for, you know, an entire 2 years before the next one comes out. If it wasn't for mods, I would get tired of that game pretty quickly. So, you know, are these games going to be like that? Pure farming, I don't know, because there's a lot you can do in pure farming in the base game. It's got numerous types of farming, several different locations, you know, this like story system, and I don't know how deep this story system is. How long does this story system go? Does it continue until you own like farms in all 5 countries or regions? I have no idea. You know, so if that's the case, modding may not be critical to the success of this game. Certainly modding will help the game, but, you know, if it helps it and whether it's critical to its success are 2 completely different things. Cattle and Crops, as it sits right now, in the early access phase, and now I know that's not how the game is going to be, you know, in its final state or whatever, but as it sits right now, that game would not be successful without mods. And currently, obviously, there are no mods for it because it's still in early access. But why can't I get out? Do I have to lower this before I can get out? I have to like disconnect it before I can get out? What do I gotta do? Pipe movement mode. Work, leave vehicle. Move the device up. Exit is blocked. Why? What? If I just pull over farther, is that better? Can I get out now? I guess. Oh, it does make you exit on this side of the vehicle. That's really weird because the exit is actually on the other side of the combine. No worries though. Anyway, Cattle and Crops, as it sits right now in the early access phase, the only thing you can do is harvest corn for silage and raise cattle. And the raising cattle at this point is a fairly simple system. You buy them at a certain weight, they gain weight, you sell them. What they have is pretty good. The physics seem pretty good. You know, there's a good system there that they have. However, that's all you can really do right now. So that's a game where, if that's how it was, I don't think it would be successful unless there was mods. Now, they'll come out with more before the game actually comes out, which is really good. And I'm curious to see where that game goes. I'm curious to see if either of these games, Pure Farming or Cattle and Crops, can put a little pressure on Giants and Farming Simulator to up their game a little bit. FS19 is set to come out later this year, and I hope that Giants is feeling a little bit of pressure now, because I think they've been able to really sit back and just do whatever they want. They respond to the community fairly well. I think they listen to what people want to some extent, but you know what? Besides selling games, they haven't had a strong incentive to really make the best game they can, because nobody else out there was putting out anything close to what they had. Agricultural Simulator was a joke in its 2013 version, which was the last one that ever came out. Then, like, Farm Expert and some other one came out, and neither of those were anywhere close. You know, they were like playing Farming Simulator 2008 or something. You know, it felt years behind. So hopefully, I'm really hoping that some of these games can put some pressure on Giants to step it up a little bit and just push themselves a little harder. They always improve the game, but every time they release a new game, I'm left wishing that they'd have done a little bit more. You know, they improve the physics engine, but the graphics don't really improve at all. They added some new features or something, but the physics are still really terrible. It's always something like that. They come out with a new game and it's improved, but you're sitting there thinking, you guys could have done more. You've got 2 years to develop a new game. You could have done a little more than this. Alright, so that did actually work, even though we had to come over here twice. Still worked. That's good. Alright, now we are off to the store, and because I know, and they did improve the driving with the keyboard and the mouse. This is, I would say the driving is still not perfect. It's much, much improved. Still not perfect, but a lot of this is just my fault. I'm just not paying attention to what I'm doing. We're going to go drop the trailer off at the farm because I know what's coming up next, and we will not need this trailer for it. The next job is pretty quick, and the nice part is it's not going to get dark on us like it did our first time through this, because we can actually have the time in real time. That's such a nice feature. I'm not really sure. It would be curious to ask and to get an answer on why they put the game out with the 1x time being as fast as it was. You know, it was hard to estimate exactly what it was, but it was like 15 to 20 times faster than real life. And that was the slowest it went. And I would be curious to know what the thinking was that led them to that. I can understand wanting to not necessarily have it in real time, because, you know, you do have to, you're not going to make people farm actual real life sized fields. It would take forever. So you shrink the fields down and you make up for it somehow by either making crops worth more or making the yields higher or something like that. So you can still make money in a decent amount of playing time. But, you know, then to compensate for that, it does make sense to make time a little faster than real time. However, it was really fast. And it was to the point where I was wondering, like, how are you going to turn a profit in this game when you can only really do, if it's, you know, a really short task, you might be able to do 2 or 3 tasks in a day. But if it's field work, like, you could only do 1 job in a day. And it was, you know, how are you going to make money with this? It goes way too fast. However, they did address it. Now you've got a lot of freedom to adjust the time to where you think is appropriate, all the way from real time to apparently 600x, which is just insanely fast. So we should be able to get a lot done today. Now I'm assuming with the change in the time compression, if you want to call it that, that you do, that if we're on 1x, crops are going to take like forever to grow. So we're going to have to up our time compression a little bit to get to the point where our crops will actually grow. But that's what that would be expected. That's how I would expect it to work. So far, we've only gone through a few gallons of gas, so I'm guessing that we have it set correctly, so that we don't use nearly as much fuel as we used to. That was, I know almost exactly where I ran out of fuel the first time we played through this, so we'll see if it ends up being about the same this time. out. Of course, I didn't have to drive to the store twice the first time I did this either. We need to buy the Delphine water trailer. And I happen to know that that is in trailers from my first time playing through this. After I looked in just about every other category, it was in the trailer category. Which made sense. Because it's a trailer. Go figure. And then this guy is the other one that we need. Perfect. We are going to go find the farmer. However, we are going to do so with the Delphine water trailer on. Now, this will be interesting to see if this trips the game up at all. Because the next task after finding the farmer and accepting his job that he offers us will be to hook on this trailer. Last time I did this, I left the trailer at the store and went and found the farmer. So then I had to come back to the store to get the trailer. And we'll see if this causes any confusion for the game at all. It's a little bit of testing, you know, see if it does what you expect it to do under different conditions. Okay, here is the farmer. And we're going to go talk to him. This starts the side tasks, things that you can do. So basically he wants us to go spray his orchard, and we are going to definitely accept that task. See, attach the Delphine water tanker. That was the next task, and it shows it as already completed because we already have it attached. Perfect. That works exactly how it should. Exactly how it should. Nice job. Gotta give some kudos to these developers. You know, there were some things when the game first came out that did not work as they should have. That is for sure. But they have addressed them. You know, and any ones they haven't addressed yet, I have to imagine that they are going to, because so far they have done a great job of showing me that they are willing to listen to the community, and they also have a pretty good idea of what's going on. I mean, they've done some of these common sense things that should work. They have done them that way. And trust me, that does not happen in all games by any stretch of the imagination. So anyway, these side tasks, apparently during this story mode, this My First Farm mode, these side tasks come up, and they're another way for you to make money besides just working on your own fields or orchards or, you know, your own property. So these are things that we will definitely be looking into and doing throughout this. I don't know if I really want to call it a let's play, but this playthrough, this exploration of Pure Farming 2018. And let's start filling up. There we go. And we gotta take this down and fill up the tank at the orchard. We have 24 hours to complete this job, which this is the introductory side task job. So I think they just give you an absolute ton of time to do this. But basically, you have to be non-existent to fail this job. But with the change to real time, like true real time being an option, the amount of time you have to do this job and probably other jobs, I'm going to guess, is going to be excessive. There's going to be no challenge whatsoever in completing these in time. Certainly this job, there's going to be, I mean, we're going to have this job completely done with like 23 hours and 30 minutes left. If that. All we have to do, because, again, I've already done this, so I know what to expect. All we have to do is go fill up the orchard's tank over here, and then go get the other fertilizer trailer, fill it up with fertilizer, and come spray the trees. So I would be surprised if we're not done with this job with like 23:50 left on the clock. Transfer contents. There we go. disconnect that trailer. Go connect the other one. And if we take a quick hop into this orchard, you can see it looks like the water level is actually going up, which is cool because these little sprayers came up in the trees, and they're irrigating or spraying the trees, and water level's going up. That's really cool. I don't know if that is, if we owned that orchard, does it automatically do that? Or is that an upgrade that you have to pay for to get like automatic irrigation? I know irrigation is a thing for the fields, which is one of the tasks that we will get to. Goodness gracious, this tractor didn't turn quite as much as I thought it would. There we go. Go. Alright, we gotta go fill up with pesticide. Sorry, I said fertilizer. It's actually pesticide. The next, I believe it's the next task that we have to do after this is to go work on another field. And it's going to take us all the way through getting that field ready with the crop. And one of the things you have to do is irrigation, which you can either allow the rain to irrigate your fields and hope that it rains enough to sufficiently irrigate them, or you can use a water trailer to irrigate the fields. So I would assume that the orchards have a similar setup where, I mean, to me I would think when you buy an orchard, it's pretty basic, like it's the trees, and you're gonna have to do most of the tasks manually. But I know a lot of things can be upgraded, so maybe one of the upgrade options is automatic irrigation system, which would be super cool. Or maybe it comes this way and the manual task that you have to do is just keep the water tank full. I don't know. Maybe we'll end up buying this orchard down the road and we can figure this out. If you guys haven't seen this yet, the mini map actually shows you your progress of, you know, whatever field work you're doing or whatever job you're doing. It kind of shows you the progress. So as we drive down this line of trees, you can see in my mini map, you can see each tree, and as we go by and spray it, each one turns into having a little blue water droplet on top of it, showing us that we have actually done that. And I will be right back. I'm going to have to take just a quick break. So pause the stream.